I believe there are millions of Democrats today devoted to the cause of freedom and torn between loyalty to party and concern for their own deeply held beliefs and principles. But Winston Churchill, who made a change in his own political party, said, "Some men change principle for party, and some men change party for principle." To those of you who are Democrats, may I suggest you take the 1932 platform upon which Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected. Look again at its promises, which were so overwhelmingly approved by Americans of both parties. The promise to reduce the cost of government by 25%, to restore those rights and powers which even then it was claimed had been unjustly seized from the states and the individual by the federal government, and its promise of restoration of constitutional limits on the power of that government. Ask yourselves, which party would be most at home with those promises today? Now, don't get me wrong. No responsible person would suggest that we abandon our concern for those fellow human beings who, unable to make provision for themselves, must depend on us. Nor do any of us think we can fulfill our responsibility by grudgingly offering bare subsistence. Human compassion and simple brotherhood demands that where there's need, we should do our utmost to provide some of the comforts that make life worthwhile. But this should be in response to real need. And where the need is temporary, the help should be temporary, aimed at restoring self-sufficiency. Working men and women should not be asked to carry the additional burden of providing for a segment of society capable of caring for itself. I was a Democrat most of my life, until I found I could no longer follow the leadership of that party as it turned from the precepts of Jefferson, Jackson, and Cleveland. I believed then, and still believe, that anything, whether it be management, labor, or government, which imposes unfairly on the freedom of the individual is tyranny and must be opposed. The choice is not between left or right, but rather between up or down. The Founding Fathers knew this, and they set our course upward toward the ultimate and individual freedom consistent with law and order. They'd known the other choice and turned from it because, whether we call it empire, kingdom, dictatorship, or the folly of Marxism, it leads only downward. I'm sure there's an earnest desire on the part of those in office to provide for the people's welfare. But their approach to the solution of our problems reveals a basic disagreement in philosophy. They're dedicated to a belief in rule by administrative edict, with more and more control and regulation of the economy and of our lives. I know that in presenting these problems, I've probably sounded overly critical. But Abraham Lincoln said a man may be loyal to his government and still be opposed to the peculiar principles and practices of the administration in power. A big brother or paternalistic government can solve many problems for the people, but I don't think we'll like the price it charges. Ever-increasing power over us and ever-decreasing individual freedom. Legislation alone can't solve our problems, nor will they disappear under a shower of tax dollars. Can we possibly believe that anyone can manage our lives better than we can manage them ourselves?